Welcome back for another episode of RBP. I am Ross Bolen here with your co-host, Jared Borislow, otherwise known as J-Bone, the Bone Man, or sometimes just Bone. Jared, how's it hanging?
It's hanging great. I'm in a tiny little room with Ross and 2 dogs, and I've never wanted to be anywhere more.
Wow, the best answer to that question was provided by Jim Carrey in 1997's classic comedy Liar Liar. Somebody says, how's it hanging? And he says, short, shriveled, and always to the left.
Classic Jim Carrey line. I've never seen that movie.
It's a penis joke.
Yeah.
About his penis. Yeah. You know how sometimes people are shitty? And they'll hit you up and pretend they're checking in to see how you're doing or have some genuine seeming reason to be making contact with you, right? And then really they have an ulterior motive, an underlying agenda.
Yeah, like it says like, hey man, like long time no see, just wanted to check in. And you're like, did you just want to check in?
Yeah. And sometimes it's obvious, and sometimes it's somebody that you're like, maybe it's an old friend you were hoping to hear from or something like that. You know what I mean? And then it's really disappointing when they're like, so I wanted to ask you, do you remember Brad from law school? Like, do you have his numbers so that I can get him with him for this thing I'm doing for work or something? And it's like, oh, damn it, you didn't really want to talk to me at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? I had like the ultimate example of that happen right before we were supposed to start recording, to the point that I'm like still shaking mad. So I ended up having like a panic attack or whatever I'm having right now and having to delay recording a bit, which brings me to my first point. Many people are coming here today to hear my takes on Simone Biles, her mental health thing, the Olympics. Well, you're going to have to pay for those. That's my way of spiting society for still being in a place where conversation around this topic is necessary at all. But just like I spoke on Kanye West as he pertains to mental health in a mental health mini-sode earlier this week on Patreon, I spoke today on Simone Biles and mental health for over 20 minutes, responding to people who think she somehow let down the country, the world, her teammates, them sitting on their couches. I generally lose my shit in frustration over a world where empathy is more rare than diamonds at this point. So, if you want to hear what I had to say about Simone in detail, that entire situation, and why it's kind of frustrating to me, then go to patreon.com/Ross Bolen podcast, where 2 brand new mental health minisodes are available now. And the second you sign up, you get a backlog of all of our ad-free Friday episodes. And after you finish today's episode, you'll have this week's ad-free Friday episode to look forward to, which is just fun. And we have a fun show today planned.
Oh, we do.
We're hitting the hotline. We are. Answer calls. We will.
Why are you talking like Yoda?
Respond in turn, we shall. Laugh you might. Take Jared out back and spank his tight little ass. I do.
Thank you.
Also, insane headlines of the day. Wu-Tang Clan. Kelly Clarkson. So much good content. I don't even know what to do with myself. Huzzah. Bruce and Bella in the studio with us today. My 2 toy Australian Shepherds. I love them like family. I want them taken care of, which is why I'm so excited about our sponsor today, Jinx.
Jinx!
The official food and treat provider of all Bolen Media dogs, including Jared's awesome dog, Millie. This is simple. Listen up. Our modern dogs do more sleeping and lounging than they do hunting or working. And to keep our pups healthy and happy, most modern kibble falls short on the nutrition dogs need. Real quality ingredients without the added fillers. Dog parents, meet Jinx, the internet's fastest growing dog wellness brand. Your dog's new favorite kibble, treats, and dental chews with recipes proven to support digestion, immunity, and heart health. Designed by dog parents, formulated by pet nutritionists, approved by veterinarians, and loved by dogs. It's Jinx. And we've got 2 toy Aussies, a giant 90-pound Doberman, a Cavalier Pomeranian, and an Aussie Doodle, all loving Jinx over here at Bolen Media. You get 40% off your first subscription order at thinkjinx.com/RBP. That's THINKJINX.com/RBP. Your dog deserves a cleaner kibble designed for modern doghood that they actually want to eat and you can feel good about giving them, Jared.
You know the old, I'm thinking Arby's. This is I'm thinking Jinx at thinkjinx.com, baby.
/RBP.
/RBP.
We're going to play some hotline calls today from the public hotline. You may not even know this. We have a public hotline. You can call it any time of day or night, 24/7, 365. Ask a question, give a take, sing us a song if you must. But there are some rules.
Yep.
The number is 888-WR-BOLEN. That's 888-WR-Bolen, just like my handle on Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat, etc. WR-Bolen. 888-WR-Bolen. Be succinct when you call. There's a 2-minute limit. If you go that long, you better be spitting.
Mm-hmm. You better be spitting bars, baby.
Roll up your windows, speak up, speak clearly. It would shock you how many of you don't know how to leave a voicemail. Tell us what you're calling about. We aren't inside your mind. If you're listening to episode 127 and call in rambling about some shit me or one of my 6 dead former co-hosts said without referencing it or framing it up for us, then we're in a tough spot here, aren't we, hun?
Yeah.
Those are the rules.
Yeah, those are the rules. And if you want to have a better chance of your call getting played, you should go on the Patreon-only hotline, where every single month we do a Patreon-only hotline call extravaganza for people who are in the RBP Enforcer and OG tiers. Play pretty much all those calls unless they're a bad call, you know.
Patreon.com/Ross Bolen podcast. Once a month, we do a hotline call extravaganza. Most of, if not all of those calls get played. So, we get a shit ton of calls on the public hotline. Pretty difficult to get your call in here. There on Patreon.com/Ross Bolen podcast. Much higher odds. Got a few. Handful, maybe.
5.
Several. Play the first one, Jared.
Ross Bolen and Jared Boydenslow. What is up? You guys are making fun of the Olympic skateboarding team, making fun of California. I'm not even from there. I'm from Boston. But they drug test, dude. You can't skateboard sober. Like, you're not even on beer. Like, I'm saying, like, weed and all that stuff. Like, the happy things, the nice things. But yeah, sober skateboarding. Obviously, Japan won. They have less of that going on.
Holy shit. First of all, I'm not sure about that last part. They have less of that going on. Not so fast there, my friend. The Japanese are freaky deaky with it. Have you ever watched their horror movies? Man, these people love them some violence and blood, and that's got to be coming from somewhere, if not drugs. I almost hope it's drugs. So, not sure about that last part. But the rest of this call is a revelation because that's why there's a bunch of 12-year-olds competing and winning. All the skateboarders that are of age are drunk and high as fuck at the same time.
I didn't even think about that. I was wondering, wow, why are there so many like 13-year-old skateboarders in the Olympics? Yeah, the rest are just on drugs.
Yeah, they can't pass the drug test, dude. Weed stays in your system for a minute. You know what I'm saying? That's why they got these 12-year-olds out there. They can't smoke weed yet. They haven't done puberty or started it. I think those are the rules. You have to start puberty before you can smoke pot. I think that's in the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And the Olympic Committee acknowledges that. So that's why little Japanese 12-year-olds are winning the skateboarding Olympics. And this is the first of their kind.
See, what about, I'm wondering about surfing,
Another reason the IOC needs to accept marijuana, by the way.
What about surfing, though? Because I would imagine every single surfer is extremely high, and they're surfing, and they're not 12. They're like,
That's a good point.
18 to 35.
Honestly, I didn't really, it's like, people used to say, like, they thought J.R. Smith was playing basketball stoned.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he definitely was, right?
And I was like, I'm a little bit better at basketball when I'm high than I am not high. For me, I let my own ego and that thing in the back of your mind that worries what people will think of you, I let that fuck with me when I'm playing basketball. Like, if you miss a second or third shot in a row, you're going to look bad. Like, what if one of the neighbors is watching you through the window? Like, that kind of thing, that's gone.
Yep.
When I smoke weed and shoot hoops. So it's just fucking wet season, Jared. You better have your galoshes on because it's just raining threes out there. Just thwack, thwack, thwack. But, I never kind of connected the dots to like how that might apply to a bunch of different sports and athletes, and especially people who are dealing with stuff like PTSD or panic disorder or the things that I'm familiar with. So that actually might affect a ton of people now that I'm thinking about it. Like there might actually be a shit ton of pro athletes that aren't exactly sober. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I imagine a lot of them. Like, you got to recover. They're working harder than all of us. They got to recover harder than all of us.
Which is part of this. This is like our pure athletes at the Olympics, which is, it kind of explains why the whole thing is just whack to me at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. being an Olympic athlete is not like being a pro athlete. Like a lot of them are pro athletes, but
Pro
like
athletes in America, if you can pass a drug test, like then you're not an all-star. Sorry.
yeah, it's true. Like, yeah, I didn't even think about that. Like there's no way all these pro athletes aren't just smoking to recover, right?
Or juicing or like HG. Think about all the stuff that athletes were getting busted for in the 2000s in America, and we have since moved on to things that are harder to trace or part of the approved routine of, weird shit that we're allowed to do to our bodies. That shit is like, it's just so prevalent in athletics that it's a bigger part of the Olympic Games than we all think about. Like the Sha'Carri Richardson story made it, this should have come up then too.
Yeah, our best athlete couldn't compete because she smoked. Maybe that's why she's the best athlete.
I didn't think about this though. I wasn't like applying it to everywhere. Like that just might be part of the way she gets through every fucking day. I don't know, man. Like that. This is a weird thing, and it's the thing that makes weed being illegal still such an issue. But in the case of skateboarders, such a bummer. Like. Because this isn't even really, what are we even watching? Because it's not called skateboarding. Like, skateboarding sober all of the time is a little weird. Like, skateboarding and street life go hand in hand almost.
Yeah.
Where you, like, find pills by the curb and you just pop them shits. Doesn't even matter what they are.
The rat pellets, but you don't care.
That's how we grew up doing kick flips back where I'm from. I've never skateboarded in my life. I just want to be totally clear. I didn't even wear skateboarding shoes. All the little white kids I knew did. What the fuck was that about?
I had a skateboard, and then I was trying to like do an ollie, which was really hard to do, which is the simplest trick.
Where you jump?
Yeah, you got to like kick off the back, and it pops up. And then it fell off my foot, and I launched it into the wall, and it broke a whole massive chunk in the drywall in my basement. The board just went through the wall.
Sad. Very sad.
Yeah. Speaking of, by the way, you talked about your neighbors like watching us potentially through the windows as we work out or play basketball or whatever.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I did a Peloton ride in the garage.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to, I don't feel like wearing my headphones. Ross isn't here. I'm going to blast the Peloton on full blast, right?
Right.
So I got Cody Rigby or whatever screaming at me. And I'm like, oh, okay. This is probably fine. Like, I'm sure the neighbors can't hear.
What kind of stuff's he yelling at you?
He's just yelling like, go, boycotter, this is your only moment. Forget about your stupid kids. Like this
fuck
is
your boss, fuck your boss, fuck your kids.
That's what he said.
Kill them all, ride that fucking bike, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah. And so afterwards, he was still talking during the cooldown session. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna walk into the driveway and see how loud this was, expecting it to be not that loud.
It echoes down the street.
It was so loud, Ross.
Everything. What we're doing right now, they can hear 4 houses down. I don't know what it is about the acoustics of this neighborhood, but they're built to where, like, if you're listening to music in our garage, realistically in the Ross Fit Gym here at Bolen Media, it is really bad how far the sound travels. Like, I've been in there with it turned up quite loud, listening to, like, just the most fucked up shit. Like Kodak Black, Lil Nas X.
Listening to, like, what's that? The FAC by Eminem.
Montero, and I'm just blaring it, you know? And there are, like, good Christian families right there on the corner.
You should play Industry Baby. Maybe they'll move.
I'm just playing around, though. Fuck those people.
Yeah.
I told you I've been intimidating this neighborhood. I dunked on the low hoop so many times that 3 people within a 5-house radius sold their homes. Do you understand? Like, I am this street now.
Well,
Jared and I.
Yeah.
The dogs. And our mailman, Gary. And all the guys doing the roof next door.
Yeah, they keep looking at me.
They keep looking at you. I go out back and hit a 4-foot-tall bong. I look over, there's 5 dudes up there drinking Coronas and staring at me. I was like, oh, what's up, dudes? Sorry. The puff of smoke is just going directly through them as I apologize. My bad, dudes. Fuck, man. Having your neighbor's roof get done sucks. You're having sex with your wife in your bedroom and you look up through the window and one of them's just watching you, or you're out back with your employee spanking his tight little ass and they're all filming and it's like, get the fuck out of here, dude.
Yeah, this is our moment.
Don't you know boundaries? What's this called? About play another one, hurry.
Ross motherfucking Bolen and Jared Borden Slow. Just listening to the latest pod. You guys are talking about Woodstock 99. on the 30th anniversary of Woodstock. My father was actually in charge of the concessions and the beer and all that stuff. So I've heard some pretty good stories about it. I've also met the head of police for that event as well. Long story short, it was a big fucking shit show from the get-go. They pretty much knew what was going to happen, but that main Woodstock people that were organizing it were not about it, and they wanted free love, like you did say. My dad fucking stopped doing concessions and concerts after that concert, after running out of a trailer with like $500,000 in cash and just leaving the venue with the police escort as the rioters were flipping over the beer tents. So I'm going to send you all a DM, give you some more details, but great fucking pod.
Wow, okay. So his dad worked at Woodstock 99, which we talked about on Monday's episode. He was in charge of like, it sounds like all of the concessions?
Yeah, I guess.
Not like one of the tents, because he ends up being the guy who evacuates with over $500,000 in cash with a police escort because the mob is like, burning everything down and raping all the women. And it was so bad of an experience that his dad retired from the business. He also said that his dad's heard that he had some pretty good stories. And I would just like to say phrasing, pretty bad stories. You have some pretty bad stories. It just makes it sound like they're fun stories when in the end, I bet they're mostly stories about arson and rape.
Yeah, that seems like most stories about Woodstock 99.
Woodstock 99. Yeah, like that was it, arson and rape. So like don't, God, what a mess. Now I'm just replaying the images in my head of that Korn crowd and it scares me.
Why would they invite Korn?
Just such a wave of Limp Bizkit was the really problematic one.
Yeah. Did
IMO.
Did they ever get like in trouble for that as a, culturally?
Who?
Limp Bizkit, Fred Durst. Does he care?
Yeah, it was a problem. Like it's the whole MTV Fred Durst Limp Bizkit relationship that was a big part of the toxicity that was I think fractured here cuz MTV I think kind of pushed up against what happened at basically MTV was the sole coverer of the concert, and the Woodstock guys would tell you MTV and the way they presented it is what made it look so bad when really it wasn't so bad. It was so bad.
Yeah, sounds so bad.
Yeah, turns out.
Okay, what kind of name is Limp Bizkit? Like I'm trying to think about that. Like, is that from like a random name generator? Limp Bizkit. That sounds like an auto-generated name on Xbox.
Should I? Do I have to tell him? Do I have to tell him? I'm not going to tell him. I'm going to let him go ahead and Google it at some other point by himself.
Is it a penis thing?
Man,
a limp.
It's just a sad state of affairs where you've never Googled Limp Bizkit in your life.
Why would I do that? Is that like...
everybody else did, Jared. Everybody else did. That's why you would. Because everybody else did. Next call.
Yo, what up, Ross? This is Chandler, currently driving from Austin, Texas to New Hampshire. What up, 603 gang? I'm just listening to the Sheesh episode about you talking about chops, and I want to just kind of give a little tidbit on why chops are as addictive as they are, not just the nicotine, but there's a feeling you get when you take your first few chops, and it sends you to a place called Mookie Island. Now, this isn't an actual place, but more or less a feeling you get when you take a chop. Your head gets all buzzy, your body gets all buzzy, you feel kind of like warm and tingly, and you just space out for a second. You're mentally not on this planet, and it really just rocks your world super hard. And yeah, so you go to Mookie Island, and that's the big thing for chop takers is getting to Mookie Island. Now, I can say this as a devout chop taker. I've been in the chop game for about 5-6 years now. I'm actually a month off the chops, no tobacco for me, just ripping the Nick sticks. But yeah, just kind of wanted to give a little insight to why people do it. And yeah, and just so you know, we call them chops, lops, bops, anything that rhymes with chop, lop, or bop, mokes, mooks, anything you want. But yeah, the hockey bowls, yeah, all good stuff. So that's it. Gang. Let the pod keep going. Also, what up, Jared? Peace.
I have so much to say. First of all, no, that's not how it works. You can't just have 14 different labels and also be able to call it anything that rhymes with those words or whatever you want. Second of all, he said he was a 5-year Chops veteran. And that was clearly at this point too, just to make sure that he was, that we were taking his information seriously. But then he lets us know he's since quit. I'm just curious as to why.
My thought is this: like,
He's not living the chop life anymore, though. I have to assume it's because one of his lungs exploded.
Yeah, I imagine like the lifespan of a chopper is similar to the lifespan of an NFL running back, right? Like 5 years and you're out.
And you're really old. And you're deep in the game. 5 years. Yeah. 3 years is like the average NFL running back's career, the average chopper's lifespan. Because you go longer than that, you're risking a lot.
Unless you're the Frank Gore of chops. And then you're just 15 years in, and everybody's like, "What the fuck is he doing?"
Who do you think is the Frank Gore? It's that fucking Aussie that sent us that video,
with the face tattoo.
That guy was the Frank Gore of chops, dude. Fucking Australia, dude. That's the Frank Gore of chops. He's gonna have a really, really, really long career. He's just gonna get signed by the Jets 15 years in, 15 seasons into his chop, dude. Just as a reminder, chops are a tobacco. And oftentimes with a little bit of weed mixed in, or half weed mixed in, or any amount of weed mixed in, or no weed mixed in some places, but it's a tobacco bong. Jared and I originally started this entire conversation many months ago by asking or laughing about how stupid it was when you're in a head shop and you have to pretend everything there is a tobacco pipe.
Uh-huh.
You're like, let me get one of those water tobacco pipes. And then in response to us making fun of that, we received thousands upon thousands and eventually millions of interactions with people on the internet.
Yeah.
Because it turns out this is extremely popular, but not only extremely popular in Australia.
Yes. We went viral world over. I believe we're at over 4.2 million views on TikTok with that video. And like, if you look at the actual analytics, like the per capita, we went extremely viral in Australia. Like, Australia is the second biggest country behind the U.S., but like, if you look at the population of Australia, we went mega viral in Australia because
fucking
everybody there
Australia
does this, and it's called a backy cone, like a tobacco, and then the cone of the bong, like a backy cone. And a lot of times, they'll smoke it out of an old Gatorade bottle that they've cut.
Yeah.
I believe it's really popular with 16-year-olds. It's part of the reason why this happened.
Yeah. It's the kids, you see. Again, because backers don't live long. What were we calling them?
Choppers.
Choppers don't live long, man.
Get to the chopper.
That's where they're mostly kids. Do it now. Come with me if you want to live. But did he say that they're all trying to go to Mookie Island?
Yes. He said Mookie Island isn't a place, but it's a feeling you get. It's the lightheadedness you get when you hit the chop.
But like, I don't understand. That just isn't like, I mean, look, doing whippets or like having someone choke me until I lose consciousness or sucking on the tailpipe of a car, all those things give me interesting feelings, but that doesn't mean I do them.
They just want to go to Mookie Island. They want a tropical getaway.
But just because you know an island exists doesn't mean you should go, right?
Like North Sentinel Island.
North Sentinel Island, Galveston Island. Just don't.
Unless you like seawalls.
Hey, did you look up what a Limp Bizkit is?
Yeah, so I know apparently it's named after the sexual game where a group of men stand in a circle around a cracker, and then they all jerk off onto the cracker, and the last one to ejaculate has to eat the cracker.
Could also be called an ookie cookie.
See, I knew Awful Waffle, so I wish...
There's lots of names for it.
I wish Fred Durst had named it Awful Waffle.
I just want to say, the amount of names there are for that act alone shows you that as a species, we're done here. Like, we're done here.
Nobody actually knows somebody who's played any of these games, right?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Why would you do that?
I feel like it's like nobody actually knows somebody who stormed the Capitol, right? And it's like that SNL sketch where you're at dinner and like somebody comes in and takes your uncle.
I mean, I'm just thinking, like, how bored do you have to be like, fuck, like, there's nothing on TV. All the dudes are here. We got a pack of Nabisco premium saltines.
The same amount of bored you need to be to dress up as a goddamn Care Bear and then go fuck another Care Bear. I don't know, man. The humans, we just do stuff. Like that, give us credit. If nothing else, we are creative. Like, we've only been here how long? And we're out here in a circle, dudes with their dicks out, cranking onto cookies and crackers, and then coming up with like 6 or 7 different names for the fucking event. That is how you spend your time.
Hey, Ross, I challenge you to a one-on-one Limp Bizkit.
Hey, still here, Jared. Still here. Why not us? Hashtag why not?
Mano a mano.
I love this in the fucking Urban Dictionary, though. It gets to the end of it. Oh my God. I'm not going to read it. But it says, therefore the biscuit is limp because of the sperm. Also, a band name led by Fred Durst. Really upsetting. But yeah, Mookie Island.
That's the name of this podcast is going to be Welcome to Mookie Island, right?
On Mookie Island, the #1 song is still Nookie by Limp Bizkit, where they do it all for the Mookie. What? The Mookie. What? So you can take that cookie and stick it up your. Stick it up your.
Tushy.
Stick it up your. Okay, so here's the definition of Mookie Island on Urban Dictionary, where we now are. Usually we're a Wikipedia podcast, so I feel a little dirty here, like I'm cheating. After adding American spirit to a batch of herb, you take a fat schnapp, another word for chop or baccy cone. Once, if, when the mole is inhaled, another word for all those things, the lucky smoker begins the journey. Fullit. Don't know what that means. Fuhlit. So you've inhaled the smoke. You're feeling that overwhelming sense of lightheadedness and euphoria. Mookie Island. At first, the feeling is alarming. Some of these first-timers will yak. Some will not, as MC, CM. I'm not hip enough to know what's happening. Nothing matters because you're swimming. Who the fuck has ever said that sentence before? What do you mean nothing matters because I'm swimming? Certainly something still matters. As you swim, you approach the shores of Monkey Island. You breathe again, and it feels fucking good. You feel the sand. You're almost there. You keep going, and yes, you're there. I hope that was fun. That's my life. That's the end of the post, bro.
Who wrote this?
Somebody that was on Mookie Island that had reached the shores and never came home. And that's the scary thing about Mookie Island, much like Sentinel Island. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's like hitting the K-hole.
You might never come back. What the fuck? Play another call, I suppose.
Hey, Ross, you fuckhead. Is this thing even fucking work? I don't know. Either way, so I go to fucking Jersey Mike's all the time, and if you go there, once you pay for your shit, or even before you pay, it asks for a tip. So, and I never tip, because, you know, I don't know, it's like everything else. Is that a fucking, like, trash fucking move not to tip these guys, or what? I mean, I've seen this at restaurants. Like, you walk up, place your order, and then it's like, do you want to give us a tip? Like, no, you didn't do anything to fuck, like, I guess you made my food, but I don't know. I'm so confused. I feel like if you come to me, give me food or drinks, that's when I tip you. I don't know where the line is. Let's discuss. Let's create the line. Gang, gang, gang.
He came in so hot. Hey, Ross, you fuckhead. To then, like, flail about like a fish on the deck of a boat. What the fuck was the question?
Okay, that
was the worst phone call ever. Not to our hotline. Like, ever made in human history. I think the call was, hey, Ross, you fuckhead. I'm enjoying the show.
No, it was like, does this even work?
Appreciate. Like, yeah, it works. Now you're on the air. Look at you. You assumed, and as a result, you made an ass out of you and me.
I actually think his question is valid. So the onset of the electronic payment screen that we now have has made it so that every time you pay for anything,
Right.
they flip it over and it goes, would you like to tip?
Yes, but we all know this to be a problem. I think it's even a thing we've discussed on the show at some point.
Okay, for example, Thundercloud Subs is the place where they make your whole sub in front of you for you, right?
Sure.
It takes them 3 or 4 minutes to make the sub. And the person standing right there, they're like, oh, you want provolone? Do you want American? Do you want blah, blah, blah?
Right.
Like they're building it for me. And so I feel obligated to tip there because I'm like, fuck, they just gave me, 5 minutes of their day. I might as well just give them $1.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
Yeah. But I can see when I'm
At
getting
Thundercloud.
Yeah,
That's a very specific circumstance.
Now, what if I'm at frickin' a coffee shop and they pour a coffee out of a drip thing, hand it to me, and it goes, you want a tip? And I'm like,
all right, I'm not here to debate when tipping is or isn't appropriate. But when you go to a restaurant, the ultimate example was when I got my car washed the other day. I'm paying for the car wash, right, before the car wash has occurred, and it's asking me if I want to tip. And I'm like, I don't know if they've done a good job yet. How am I supposed to tip? What if I was going to get to the car and be so blown away that I want to tip more?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, then you could. Well, it's what if it's the opposite? You going to give me money back? You know what I'm saying? So it's
That's a good point.
I don't like it either. Nobody does the fact that it got added to everything preemptively, so you're tipping it like a Taco Bell now, where you're like, I don't even know who this money is for. Who's getting? Are they Taco Bell's just it's fake? They just collect the tips for the corporation still. It's not even getting distributed to the employees. Or there's 7 people working back there, and by 7 people working back there, I mean there's 7 people back there with uniforms on that say Taco Bell, and at least one of them is sort of working. But I don't know who I'm fucking tipping. That's the problem with those things, and it can't be a situation where you're asked to tip before performance can be reviewed.
Mm-hmm.
Performance must be reviewed before tip can be applied. Otherwise, what the fuck is the tip for?
Well, counter service. And so, how about this, Ross? Let's say you go to a place, counter service tacos, right? They have the little clover screen where they flip it back to you and it says, you want to add a tip? You order, you have 5 tacos. Now, the cashier was really rude, really clearly having a bad day, being short with you. Hey, what do you want? Okay, here, pay here. You haven't had the tacos yet. It asks you if you want a tip. What do you do?
No.
Now, what if they were really nice? And they were like, how are you today? And
maybe, dude, it depends. If it's a local spot I'm trying to support a little bit, I'll throw them $1 or whatever, $2 maybe or something. I don't know. Fuck, dude. It's circumstantial. Just be a good person. It's just not that hard.
It is really weird. I had never thought about it that way before. The fact that we are now asked to tip before we even get the thing.
That part is no, you do not have to do that.
That's so
and you
weird.
should never, ever feel bad for pressing no. It's just like at the fucking grocery store. When I'm checking out of the grocery store aisle and I'm just there for toilet paper, syrup, and a Nerf ball. And
what the fuck? What?
And I'm going through the checkout line, and it's a Bird Dogs Nerf ball behind Jared. And I'm going through the checkout line. What were we talking about?
What's the syrup for?
But what was the question about?
Oh, tipping. Feeling bad for tipping.
Oh, and I'm going through the line, and they're like, okay, and they're checking out, and it's a syrup and a Bird Dogs Nerf ball and cardboard, whatever else I said. And it's like, do you want to donate to save dying children at the hospital? On the screen. That's the first question it asks. And I'm like, what? Actually, I'm sorry. It's like, do you want to put in your Randall's card number to save 0.0000004%? And I'm like, no. Actually, I'm like, yes. And I take the time to type it in and get COVID 3 times as I'm typing it in. And then it's like, okay, cool. But before it can move you on to your actual business, which is paying for the food or, some toilet paper and some syrup or whatever. And then it asks you, do you want to donate? And it really always is some pretty on the nose, devastatingly depressing thing that needs helping. It's dying.
It's like
old...
St. Jude's.
Yeah. But a lot of the time, it's like, do you want to help sick or starving kids? And I'm like, I just sprung for the nicer syrup. But that shit pisses me off. I donate money when and where I fucking want. Don't shame me in the grocery store aisle and don't ask me to tip for something that hasn't even been done yet, dude. What if I tip $20 at the car wash and then they're like, your car's done, sir, and they throw me the keys that don't exist because I have a Tesla, so I walk over to it and they just took a shit in the front seat. It's over. I still don't. Can I go ask for some? That's the problem. If there's not a retroactive tipping system, the whole thing is broken now, and Square needs to fix it somehow with the Cash App and their whole technology. Square, fix it. Thank you. What was that call about?
Tipping.
Oh,
and
so we stayed
he called you a
fuckhead.
There. He called you a fuckhead too.
He called me a fuckhead, and he choked the whole call, which was hysterical, but also inspired pretty good, like trash or not trash almost.
Yeah.
Whatever. Next call.
Last call.
Hi, Ross. This is Macy from Seattle. I'm in my closet calling you to not have my boyfriend here to call. Oh, this is embarrassing, but I feel like it would be really funny to have you discuss basically this Facebook group for catching cheaters and men. So be aware that there's Facebook groups that I'm in and people like me of 16,000 girls working together to make sure men don't cheat on themselves. So a picture we're going to upload it of a guy who's acting sketchy within 50 seconds. There are so many comments of people like knowing what happened, finding the link to like their wedding venue site. It's wild. You should discuss this. I love you guys. Gang.
What? Okay, so she's saying there are Facebook groups dedicated to the group effort of like ratting out shitty dudes. So like married guys cheating on their wives or engaged guys cheating on their what I'm trying to figure out here is who's the rat? Like, does the chick who banged the dude who's engaged get into the Facebook group and be like, I actually slept with that guy? Or does one of her friends have to be the rat? Like, who's the leak?
Well, it might be one of those groups. There's a big TikTok trend right now, okay?
Okay.
Where people will reach out to some hot TikTok influencer and say to them, hey, I think my boyfriend is being not faithful. Can you do I forget what they call it. They call it a loyalty check. Can you do a loyalty check on my boyfriend? And so this hot influencer DMs them, goes, hey, I'm going to be in whatever city you live in. Like, you want to hang out?
Bro, what?
And then they go, do you have a boyfriend or
Dude,
girlfriend?
there are so many versions of this. Okay, here's another one. People make fake accounts on Instagram and try to catfish their own significant other.
Yes.
Do you have any fucking idea how sick that is? If you're at that point, the relationship is over.
Yeah.
You can both go home. You don't need to spend weeks building out a fucking Instagram account. Like, that's crazy. That's also just really disturbing behavior.
Yeah,
like, you should not be that toxic.
If you're at the point where you think that they're cheating,
to the point that you need to catch them in that,
yes,
then they're either probably cheating or your relationship, regardless of if they're cheating, is it a place to where it needs to be addressed?
Because if they are cheating, you're going to break up with them. If they aren't cheating, they should break up with you because you're insane.
Yeah. But yeah, it's crazy that technology has sort of led to an even further level of distrust, not only among the sexes, but among just humans in general, right? And I mean, in all fairness, we've all seen too many examples of how it can lead to like heinous situations that are nightmarish enough to scare us all into being paranoid. So this one is not shocking to me. As a dude, the version of it that I always have in my head is that every girl I've ever met is in a number of text groups with each other. So at this point, they all pretty much know everything about me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But I had never considered the hilarity of an internet group of activist women essentially teaming up to expose shitty dudes from doing foul deeds, which is kind of like the lower level version of the movie Promising Young Woman on a safer internet level.
I was thinking it was more like Don't Fuck with Cats, the documentary where those sleuths got together to find that serial killer.
A little bit like that too, but like again, serial killer, right? This is like shitty dudes getting laid who shouldn't be. So it's low level, like internet heroes, but surely, you know, internet hero label applied. Pop! Stamp it on there, Jared. These women are heroes.
That was the hotline call.
That was,
and all the hotline
all of
calls.
them. That was all of the hotline calls. It was every single one of them that we had.
888 WR Bolen.
Call it in. You remember the rules from the beginning of this segment. Don't forget them. Jared, I have a challenge for you.
Okay.
Fill in the blank. You should be able to do it by now. If you can't, I'm going to be upset. Brush, floss, and then...
Can I use a lifeline?
It's still rinse,
Okay.
Jared. Rinse. It's rinse. You may not be getting a complete clean if you're not rinsing. Mouthwash, is a key part of your whole mouth's routine because it gets between teeth to kill bad breath germs and helps strengthen enamel. Thankfully, the oral care experts at Quip created a super simple way to make mouthwash part of your daily oral care routine. You know Quip, the makers of the electric toothbrush and floss you hear about all the time. Jared and I have been using them for years, talking about them for years here on RBP. They've been big supporters throughout the pandemic, and they've launched a new mouthwash to help you complete your clean, and it comes with a refillable dispenser that's delightful to use and sleek enough to fit on any bathroom counter. Mr. Borislow is holding it up right now. You could be the proud owner of this very golden and beautiful... What would you call that shape?
It's a mouthwash dispenser. It's a cone, I would say.
Cone-shaped? Cone-esque?
It's a mouthy cone.
It's a mouthy cone. It's beautiful, though. It's, we historically, mouthwash has been bottled very poorly, and it looks disgusting in your bathroom, just green slime dripping down the side of it, crusting over, like, fuck all that. This is the future, baby. GetQuip.com/RBP5. It's beautiful. Quip has everything you need for your oral care. Best toothbrush ever made, incredible toothpaste, incredible floss, mouthwash, gum. Get on it.
They got everything. They're the Good Habits company.
They are. Affordable refills plus free shipping, easy to keep your whole mouth healthy. Join the over 5 million people already using Quip. Start swishing today. GetQuip.com/RBP5 right now to get $5 off a mouthwash starter kit like the one behind Jared's head. That's $5 off a mouthwash starter kit, which includes a refillable dispenser and a 90-dose supply of Quip's concentrated formula at GetQuip.com/RBP5, GetQuip.com/RBP5.
Cool Quip.
All right, we've got some insane headlines of the day. Do you want... Well, no, I'll pick the order. Here's your first one from Yahoo News. Kelly Clarkson to pay Brandon Blackstock nearly $200,000 a month in spousal and child support. Holy crap. So you remember Kelly Clarkson from American Idol?
Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah, also that. She was married to this dude, Brandon Blackstock, apparently.
Why are you saying his name like that?
I don't know who he is. And they get divorced, and now, according to People, she's required to pay her ex-husband nearly $200,000 per month in spousal and child support. A Los Angeles County judge handed down the order Tuesday that Clarkson give Blackstock $150,000 per month in spousal support, as well as $45,601 per month in child support. People has learned. Child support, custody cases, all that shit, super complicated, differs by state. I still don't understand how under any circumstances you get to a number like $45,000. Like, I don't know how many kids they have together. Is it 62 kids? But I'm just saying that's a lot of money.
I don't understand.
Jared, that's an enormous sum of money.
Is spousal support like child support, but for the spouse?
I think spousal support is if, like, let's assume Brandon Blackstock is some random slapdick and he was living way above his means with Kelly Clarkson, and now he needs support to be able to wean down off of that means or something. I'm assuming I don't really know. They didn't give me any, Jared, when my wife left me. Nobody gave me spousal support. So this arrangement means that Blackstock, 43 years old, will receive $195,601 total from Clarkson each month, or roughly $2.4 million per year. Now, before you get too upset thinking this guy's got it made for life, this is not forever. This is some kind of once the divorce is settled, he only gets 2 more years of spousal support based on the length of their marriage. If you're only married a few years or something, they don't just give you money forever and ever and ever and ever for spousal support. And again, Jared and I didn't even know spousal support existed, much less for men, before this conversation started. So I'm going to be contacting my divorce attorney as soon as we get done here. I'm speeding through the rest of the show to get to that point. So I'm just kidding.
Do you think I can get spousal support if our matelatage ends?
Probably. It's a mateladage, but... Matelatage does sound cooler. Anyway, weird bummer for Kelly Clarkson and huge dub for Brandon Blackstock. That is mailbox money right there.
Kelly Clarkson.
Here's your next headline. From the New York Times. U.S. as in the United States, sells one-of-a-kind Wu-Tang album to cover Martin Shkreli's debt.
The Pharma Bro.
Pharma Bro, back in the news. This is one of the original, like we talked about this on RBP way back in the day. But this dickhead pharmaceutical bro, Martin Shkreli, bought Wu-Tang's one and only, one of one, the first ever NFT musically album back in the 2010s or something. I don't fucking remember. Doesn't matter. For like $10 million or something like that, okay? Well, this guy's since been sued into oblivion, I think, and done all, I don't remember. It doesn't matter what he's done. The point is the U.S. government repossessed this album, and it was always kind of this mythical thing in hip-hop. Wu-Tang Clan is a very highly respected group. That they made this thing and that only this one douchebag has it was a really big deal. So to read a little from the Times here, a one-of-a-kind album recorded by the Wu-Tang Clan and sold at auction to the disgraced pharmaceutical executive and hedge fund manager Martin Shkreli has been purchased by an anonymous buyer for an undisclosed sum of money. The federal prosecutors who seized the album 3 years ago said, so we don't even know how much it was bought for. Could have been $300 million.
Yeah.
Could have been more.
I doubt it was that much, but
I mean, who knows, dude? With what people pay for random shit online these days, you'd
fair.
be shocked.
That's fair.
I think this is tangible. Like
It
a
is.
physical copy of the album that you get to hold, you know? Yeah, so Jacqueline M. Kasoulis, the acting United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, announced the sale of the one known copy of the album, titled Once Upon a Time in Shaolin. And prosecutors didn't announce who bought it or for how much, but a lawyer for Shkreli said the sales price appeared to be at least $2.2 million. So, not as high as maybe it could have been. Terms of the sale require the government to keep the purchase price and the buyer secret, but the sale satisfied the balance that Mr. Shkreli had owed to the government, according to the news release. Sad when you got to sell your Wu-Tang album to
cover your debt to the United States.
with Uncle Sam, yeah. The buyer was a group of people or a company rather than an individual, according to a person with knowledge of the sale. The unique album, more akin to a piece of fine art than a standard record, was seized by the government in 2018 after a judge said that it could be used to pay part of the $7.36 million that Mr. Shkreli owed. It's still batshit to me that Wu-Tang even did this at all. Like, if it's good, if it's a real album that they put like hundreds of hours of work and beautiful creativity into, fuck the Wu-Tang Clan. I hope that it's just absolute shit, like Kanye poop scoop whoop-de-whoop nonsense on loop for 10 tracks and then just like violent tooting noises. Because if it's legit Wu-Tang, man, that pisses me off that they did this at all. Like for the money, I don't know, we just deserve better, Jared.
You think they would have made more money if they released it, right?
Yeah.
Why do they do this? Can we ever get them to figure that out? We need to hit a Wu-Tang Financial.
My
and see.
least favorite publicity stunt of all time, but Wu-Tang Financial should be able to explain, as they explain, diversifying. Right?
Mm-hmm.
This episode is also brought to you by Four Sigmatic, a wellness company that is known for its delicious mushroom coffee. Mushroom coffee, very, very easy on the gut compared to, caffeine-filled nonsense that we're drinking. Doesn't leave us with the awful jittery feeling or midday crash. All of Four Sigmatic products are organic, vegan, gluten-free. Every single batch is third-party lab tested to ensure its purity and safety, so you know you're getting the highest quality coffee and mushrooms possible. And you're probably thinking, okay, does this coffee taste like mushrooms? I can guarantee it tastes just like the coffee you know and love. It's great. Brews dark, nutty, tastes incredible. Over 20,000 5-star reviews. Best of all, Four Sigmatic backs their products with a 100% money-back guarantee. Love every sip or get your money back.
See, that's if somebody ever offers you that, you have to take that every single time. If somebody ever said, hey, if you don't like it, you get your money back. That's literally, if you don't do that, you're just foregoing happiness.
We worked out an exclusive offer with Four Sigmatic on their best-selling mushroom coffee just for the RBP gang. Get up to 40% off plus free shipping on mushroom coffee bundles. 40% off plus free shipping on their mushroom coffee bundles. That's huge. You just have to go to foursigmatic.com. That's foursigmatic.com/RBP. This offer is only for the Ross Bolen podcast listeners, not available on their regular website. Save up to 40%, get free shipping. Go now, foursigmatic.com. sigmatic.com/RBP. Fuel your productivity and creativity with some delicious mushroom coffee.
Ross, I consider myself an amateur mycologist, and I'll say right now, them's great mushrooms. Again, if somebody ever offers you a money-back guarantee and a happiness guarantee, you have to take it. That's a rule I live by. I've never turned one down.
Ever.
Ever.
Uh-huh.
Ever.
Somehow I doubt that, Jared. Somehow I doubt that very hard.
Test me, bitch.
Hey, who counts as responsible for ass-eating season? Do you not consider that to be our generation?
Well,
Are we in the same generation, you and I?
you're like an old millennial. I'm a young millennial. So, I mean,
So millennials.
yeah, we're both millennials. You're just an old millennial. You're old as fuck.
Am I an old millennial?
Yeah.
How old is the oldest millennial?
Well, probably like mid-30s.
How old is the oldest millennial? What's above millennial?
Gen.
No, the oldest millennial is 40, dude.
Okay, well, aren't you 40?
I'm 34, Jared. You
Okay.
know this. God, that's not funny. It's not even a funny joke.
Uh,
Dylan and Portnoy. How many old content creators are gonna have to endure this kind of mistreatment from the younger people around them?
is 34 old?
Compared to what?
Compared to the word old.
Dude, 80 could be not old.
No, 80 is old.
It's all relative,
I think
man.
I think anybody thinks 80 is old. I think if you asked any single person ever, they'd say 80 was old. It's like higher than the average lifespan in most countries.
I bet I disagree completely. I completely disagree with you.
You don't think 80 years old is old?
No, I disagree with you that if you asked every single person, that all of them would agree 80 years old is old. I bet you there's a shit ton of people who would answer with some weird fucking compared to the rings in a tree being 7,000 millennial blah, whatever the fuck, you know?
I'm not going to go talk to any fucking shamans.
Well,
What the
you
fuck are
should.
ta-
You need a shaman, Jesus Christ, Jared. You need a shaman so bad.
I actually do. I need a shaman to fix this dick. Anyways, patreon.com/Ross Bolen podcast.
Yeah, go. We'll be back ad-free Friday. It's going to be
a
amazing.
completely new episode.
It's a totally new episode. It's not this episode with the ads removed. That would be fucking stupid. We wouldn't ask you to pay for that, silly goose. You get a whole new episode. There's no ads. It's just Jared and I, usually a little more unhinged somehow than here, which maybe isn't as safe as it used to be. But patreon.com/Ross Bolen podcast is the place to be. And if you go now, guess what? 2 new mental health minisodes this week. One about Kanye, his career, how he's sort of influenced me in my mental health journey, and millions around the world, obviously. And then one today about Simone Biles, the general response to her pulling out of events at the Olympics, and my freaking out at people who seem to still not understand that mental health is to be taken as seriously as physical health.
Yep.
So
Yep.
go to patreon.com/Ross Bolen podcast today. Get all that. Plus, Jared, what else?
A bunch of written content is coming by the end of the month because we have
When he says written content, he means columns and articles for you to read and enjoy on your walk or your commute.
those are available in the OG and Enforcer tiers along with those mental health minisodes. But if you want to just do the $5 tier, you get every Friday episode, an episode every single Friday, a completely new ad-free episode.
Yeah. So if you like the show, if you've enjoyed RBP, if you like me and Jared, and you're like, I want these guys to continue to be able to keep doing this for a living. Well, guess what? We're the only people who work here. It's just Jared and I at Bolen Media. We do everything that we do. What used to be my home, it's now Bolen Media headquarters. It's just a house in South Austin. And we're grind boys, as they say. So we'd really appreciate your support on patreon.com/Ross Bolen podcast, where, as Jared just explained, you can make a minimum pledge of just $5 monthly to help the show and get those ad-free Friday episodes from us, or jump up to the Enforcer tier, which is a minimum of $10 monthly. And again, you can alter those numbers to be whatever you want them to be. And you'll get mental health minisodes, a bunch of columns that the other tier doesn't get access to. You can also jump into our OG tier if you really want to throw in heavy support for the show there on patreon.com/Ross Bolen podcast. But we're thankful for each and every one of you who have ever been there or are there now, and ask you to go if you could and would.
Yeah,
because it means a lot and we need you.
When we
need
say
you.
that, like, we're not kidding. A lot of people are like, oh, podcasts, you probably work in this state-of-the-art studio and have a producer who's like sitting behind the computer.
I don't know. It's either like some slab dick in his garage jerking off, or it's like a multi-million-dollar media company, and people can't tell the difference, and we're definitely somewhere in between. We are to be taken seriously, and this is a real company, but like we don't have any money, and I didn't get any money from like my daddy or anything like that. This isn't like some fucking trust fund enabled situation. I think sometimes people look at me and assume that I'm just rich from something else.
Because you're hot, dude. You're
no, it's because I worked for. I wrote a book called Total Frat Move, and that.
You're in New York Times bestselling author.
And that's not. This is not that, and that is not this. And Jared and I are out here really doing it. This is a startup at Bolen Media, so we really appreciate each and every one of you who has taken the time to support us directly through patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast or through our sponsors, of which we had 3 great ones today. Four Sigmatic, go get you some of that. Why would you not?
Happiness guarantee. You are literally an idiot if you don't do it.
Delicious coffee. It's great for your gut. foursigmatic.com/RBP. We also have Quip, getquip.com/RBP5. New URL for Quip, quip.com/RBP5. Jinx for your dogs, because we want them to be happy too. Bruce and Bella right here in the studio with us. Thinkjinx.com/RBP. Jared didn't bring Millie today. I'm upset. He could have, and he didn't.
Again, she could not make it through a recording. I can't have her when we record. She would.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Fuck, I totally forgot. Yeah, she's a little crazy.
I love her, though.
Look at this dude. He's just done. Bruce is just
God.
passed out sideways. What were we going to do after the show?
You were going to take me out back and spank my tight little ass.
Let's go do that now, Jared. Thank you for being here. We'll be back Friday. Patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast.